Good evening. If everybody can go ahead and get settled, we're going to call this meeting to order at 5:02 and welcome you to the February 21st regular meeting and public hearings of the Forsyth County Board of Commissioners. Do we have someone lined up for the prayer this evening?
Oh, there's two lovely commissioners to your left. Always love to do it.
I wasn't sure if we had a designated person for that.
Is it on your calendar?
It is not. So, Commissioner Brown, would you do us the
Sure.
honors, please?
Please stand as you're able. Bow your heads. Most gracious Heavenly Father, how we thank you and love you for the wonderful county we have here, Lord. Please come into our hearts this afternoon as we come together to do the people's business, Lord. Give us the discernment, guidance, and your wisdom to do the right thing in every occasion, Lord. Help us to be the best county that we can and do right by everyone and follow the golden rule in every case. We ask these things in Jesus' holy name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Before we get on to the announcements, I'd like to set the agenda. Commissioners, do you have any changes to the agenda?
Madam Chair, I have one. I'd like to postpone old business 1B, ZA 3807 till March 21st.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to move old business B, is it 1B or 2B? I'm sorry.
1B.
1B to March the 7th. We have.
March
can I have a-
20 March
I'm sorry,
21st.
March the 21st. Thank you for that correction. Please vote. And that motion for postponement does pass with a vote of 5-0. Commissioners, are there any other changes to the agenda this evening?
I have one, or I've actually got two. Old business 1A, I think it's on two different agendas. We've already got one for a public hearing for the second meeting in March.
Right.
So this item, I believe, just needs to be removed.
It does. I spoke with Ken about that previously. It just
Okay.
needs to be removed from the agenda.
So that's item number, on old business 1A.
Correct.
Second for removal.
We have a motion and a second for removal of item number 1A. Please vote. And that motion does pass 5-0 as well. And that item is removed. And that subject will be coming back. It's on a separate track to come back to us for public hearing.
I have an addition to the agenda, if the board will consider. I'd like to propose a motion. I move that we add on tonight's new business agenda a time-sensitive basis, a discussion and possible direction regarding pending House Bill 302. It's a bill pending before the General Assembly that seeks to strip from local governments throughout the state the authority to adopt land use regulations that address residential building design elements such as exterior building color, cladding material, roof materials, exterior ornamentation, window placement, and other similar items. This proposed legislation, if adopted, would effectively repeal many of the county's overlays, including the District 4 Coal Mountain overlay and others. In fact, this law, if passed, would nullify the architectural standards the county's been working on for well over a year and a half. I would like us to discuss this evening a possible resolution of opposition to be delivered to our local delegation and the governor, as well as discussing whether to ask our county attorney to render an opinion regarding its constitutionality.
Second as number 2 for new business?
That is number 4 under new business.
Is that what you're doing? I'm so sorry. Number
I have a
4.
motion and a second. Please vote. And that motion does pass 5-0 with an addition under new business as item number 4 for that discussion as previously outlined. Are there any other changes, additions, deletions? With that in mind, I do have one myself. It is under, did we go to new business or old business with it? Let me find it real quick. It is under new business, item number 1, with the decision on the the Hammond's Crossing property. With our counselor out, our regular counsel out this evening, I would like to postpone that until our next agenda, actually our next public agenda.
Does that be March 7th?
That would be March 7th.
Second.
I have a motion, a second, please vote. That item is postponed until March the 7th. If there are no others from the commissioners, Eric Johnson, our county manager, do you have any changes or additions to the?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. Tim Merritt?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I do not have anything to add tonight.
Thank you. And Counselor?
Madam Chairman, we do recommend that one item be postponed, item 2 under public hearings.
Okay.
This is the second alcohol license hearing for Texoma Legends, Inc. There was an error in the public advertisement, and so we recommend that it be postponed to the next available public hearing date of March 7th. I understand that the business is not yet ready to open, and so it shouldn't prejudice them, but we requested it be moved to the March 7th date.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. And that motion also passes 5-0. If there are no further changes to the agenda, is there a motion to adopt it?
Actually, Commissioner,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Simonson, is Amy over here, business license?
Oh,
I
I'm
do
so
have-
sorry.
That's okay. I do have an applicant request. It is public hearing number 3. The applicant called and would like to postpone their alcohol hearing, and if so, move it to the 21st.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. And that motion does pass with another vote of 5-0, and that was moving it until the 21st. Is that what you said?
Yes, March 21st.
Okay, just want to be, that's pretty far out. Okay. Barring any further changes, is there a motion to adopt the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. And that motion does pass with a vote of 5-0. We have got some announcements this evening. First on our agenda is a presentation of a resolution to our County 4-H Wildlife Judging Team. And I'm not sure who from our board is handling that. Ms. Commissioner Mills, if you'd like to read that resolution.
Would our 4-Hers like to come forward? I will. This is a resolution by the Board of Commissioners of Forsyth County, Georgia. Whereas 4-H is an education program teaching leadership, citizenship, public speaking, and practical life skills. And whereas the 4-H program is part of the Forsyth County school system and has given its members opportunities to participate in team competitions in the areas of cotton consumer judging, horse judging, forestry field day, poultry judging, and wildlife judging. And whereas the Forsyth County 4-H Wildlife Judging Team competed in the state competition on Saturday, October 20th, 2018, and demonstrated their knowledge and evaluation skills. And whereas the Forsyth County 4-H Senior Wildlife Judging Team placed first in the state competition and will represent Georgia at the National Wildlife Habitat Education Program competition in Kansas this summer. And whereas the members of the Forsyth County 4-H Senior Wildlife Judging Team include Dusty Haney, Leah Hornsey, Emily Kalwat, say it. Okay, you heard that. And Wendy Taylor. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners of Forsyth County, Georgia does hereby recognize and commend the Forsyth County 4-H Senior Wildlife Judging Team for their outstanding accomplishments. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be recorded in the official minute book of the Board of Commissioners and that a copy of same be presented to the Forsyth County 4-H Wildlife Judging Archery Team. In testimony whereof, we have hereunto affixed the seal of the County of Forsyth, State of Georgia, and signatures of the members of the governing body thereof on this 21st day of February 2019. Would either of y'all like to say anything about your competition or say anything to the crowd? Not a word?
Good job.
Great job. Thank you so much. Let's hear it for them.
I'm going to hand over our next announcement introduction to Commissioner, District 2 Commissioner and Secretary of the Board, Dennis Brown. It's a special presentation to the Georgia International Law Enforcement Exchange.
Good afternoon. It's our extreme pleasure this afternoon to welcome Robbie Friedman, Georgia International Law Enforcement Exchange, into the chambers. There's several Gilley graduates in here that will be accompanying Dr. Friedman, and we have a resolution to be read by our Sheriff, Ron Friedman. I don't know if did Frank Reynolds make it? I don't see him. We also have with us tonight Scott Dutton, the Deputy Director of the GBI, sir. He's also a Gilley graduate. We have Art Krinsky, who is a retired FBI. Sir, thank you for coming. And we had expected the GBI Director, but a lot going on right now. So could we ask you to please come forward for the reading of the resolution?
Good evening, Commissioners, Madam Chair. Thank you for allowing me to do this. It is indeed an honor. It is certainly a program that we support on behalf of the Sheriff's Office as well, and I appreciate the Board of Commissioners doing the same. Chief Sanford, our own Chief Deputy, is also a Gilley graduate himself, and he accompanies me here. This is rather long, so I'm going to, if I have your permission, to take some liberties to shorten this somewhat for essence of time, but I will try to do it justice. A resolution of the Forsyth County Board of Commissioners in support of the Georgia International Law Enforcement Exchange, Gilley, at Georgia State University's Andrew Young School of Policy Studies. Under the direction of Robert R. Friedman, Georgia International Law Enforcement Exchange at the Georgia State University, the Forsyth County Board of Commissioners proclaims through this resolution the invaluable service to Forsyth County and the state of Georgia of the work of the Georgia Law Enforcement Exchange, Gilley, at Georgia State University's Andrew Young School of Policy Studies. Whereas, in 1992, the Georgia State University and Georgia law enforcement leaders came together in a joint project to establish the Gilley program. And whereas the Gilley program is directed by Dr. Robert R. Friedman, Professor Emeritus, Georgia State University, and is nationally and internationally known in the field of criminal justice and counterterrorism. And whereas one of the primary objectives of the Gilley program is to enhance interagency cooperation between the state of Georgia law enforcement leaders and police agencies throughout the world, as well as providing professional education programs to senior Israeli law enforcement officials by exposing them to law enforcement practices in Georgia, and to offer a professional education program to senior Georgia law enforcement leaders by exposing them to law enforcement operations in Israel, primarily in the areas of counterterrorism. And whereas in this post-9/11 period, it's essential that government agencies and countries share their knowledge and experiences to combat the immense threat of terrorism and increase public safety throughout the world. And whereas Gilley program is an excellent example of how the exchange of information can serve to protect the citizens of Forsyth County and the state of Georgia. Since the program's inception, Gilley has hosted numerous delegations of foreign senior law enforcement officers in Georgia. Similarly, numerous executive delegations from Georgia have visited other countries. Whereas the Gilley program provided valuable assistance in the matters of enhancing anti-terrorism efforts by protecting Olympic game venues in the Atlanta Olympic Games in '96 through the Rio de Janeiro Games in 2016, as well as the G8 Conference in Sea Island, Georgia in 2004. And whereas several members of Forsyth County law enforcement community have actively participated in or worked with Gilley through many years of productive cooperation. And whereas Gilley is an award-winning program recognized by law enforcement agencies, professional associations, and the governor of the state of Georgia, whereas it was recognized by Georgia House Resolution 617 in 2007, recognized for the valuable service and hard work of Dr. Robert Friedman on the Gilley program, which has proved to be a tremendous asset to Georgia law enforcement, and commends him for his success in bringing together Israel and the state of Georgia for the greater protection of the citizens of the state. And whereas the Gilley program continues to focus its efforts on leadership development in the area of homeland security and complex law enforcement operations. And whereas anti-police and anti-Israel groups have launched a propaganda campaign against U.S. police training in Israel under the misnomer of a deadly exchange, this campaign makes expressly false claims. Now therefore be it resolved by the Forsyth County Commission, Forsyth County, Georgia, that Gilly has proved to be a tremendous asset to the law enforcement community in Forsyth County and the state of Georgia. And the exchange of law enforcement leaders between Israel and other countries in the state of Georgia has further connected our governments in the fight against terrorism, against those who wish to do harm to our citizens, and provide the best police practices to the communities they serve. Be it further resolved that the Forsyth County Board of Commissioners commends Gilly for its long-standing record of delivery of high professional training standards through its programs in Georgia and around the world, the innovative approaches it has introduced, and the measurable value it has added to the law enforcement community in this state. Be it further resolved that the Forsyth County Board of Commissioners is proud of its association with Gilly and fully supports Gilly and the Georgia State University's Andrew Young School of Policy Studies' valuable contribution to public safety in our county, in the state, and beyond. The Commission is looking forward to continuing its productive relationship with Gilly for many years to come. And lastly, be it further resolved that the Forsyth County Board of Commissioners is authorized to direct and transmit an appropriate copy of this resolution to Dr. Robert Freeman on behalf of the Georgia State University and the Gilly program. Thank you, Commissioners, for your support for this program.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Freeman, did you have a few words for us as well?
I'll be very brief, but I want to express my sincere gratitude for the resolution that the Board of Commissioners has adopted. I'm very proud standing here with Gilly graduates from the state, and I want to say that this recognition and this resolution is very important to the law enforcement community, because the officers need to know that the citizens and the government have their backs. And this is what this resolution is doing. So my sincere thanks and gratitude for this important resolution, and we'll put it on the university's website. Thank you very much.
Thank you. If you guys, we're going to step down and present the resolution and take a picture.
Yeah, we'll have to bunch up pretty tight. Can you all squeeze in just a little bit more? Right here.
From up here. Look at this. I mean, did they not clean?
That was a good thing we just did, by the way. That was huge.
I'm so glad we were able to do that as a community. Just a couple nights ago, our own sheriff's office presented its awards, and it was a wonderful thing to see all of the heroes here in our local community being recognized. We do have one more announcement, Commissioners. I'd like to recognize a special group of future leaders from Whitlow Elementary who are here with us this evening, here to learn a little bit about how their local government operates. And we talked about the rule of law. We talked about a lot of different things, but it's great to see young minds who are engaged and interested in the things that are going on in their community. So I just wanted to recognize that we have Den 2 of Pack 8307 of the Cub Scouts. They're with us in the back. And thank you for being here with us this evening. We love to see the Scouts getting involved and coming to see what happens with their local government as well. At this time, Russell's going to read the rules of the meeting, and we'll announce the public comment speakers.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chairman and members of the board. We would like to take a moment to review the meeting procedures for this evening tonight. First, please silence all cell phones and electronic devices. Those who wish to speak during public comments must complete a public comment form, which is available just outside of this room. Information regarding specific requirements to address the board is listed at the podium. Please state that information prior to speaking. All comments shall be directed to the entire board and not to one particular commissioner. There are 2 public comment opportunities during the meeting tonight for speakers to make a verbal presentation to the board. One is now and one is prior to old business. The number of speakers is limited to 10 now and 10 during the second portion. Speakers are selected on a first-come basis and will be heard in the order in which they signed up, with the exception that Forsyth County residents will be heard first, with non-county residents to follow until the allotted time has expired. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. We have 2 public comment speakers this evening for our first portion. Both are county residents, and our first speaker tonight is Kirk Winterstein.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, I am Kirk Winterstein. I live in Forsyth County. This is what I believe, and I speak only for myself. I may be pushed a little bit for time. I speak in favor of the residential design standards because they will protect the welfare, including the opportunities and the future of our county. Let's take a look at our county. Our students, again, this past October, has scored the highest SAT scores in the state of Georgia. This is not unusual for this county. We have the best student in the state of Georgia, and we have built the best school system in the state of Georgia. Our citizens for the last 30 years have voted a splosh tax on themselves so we can make capital improvements in our county, roads and road improvements, fire stations, and our very impressive park system. We have spent 30 years and hundreds of millions of dollars to build the amenities that we have today. And because of that, we have a large number of people who want to move here. And because of that, you can build almost anything substandard and someone will buy it. And what's wrong with that? Well, you injure the welfare, the opportunity, and the future for 200,000 other people, including our students. Someone may argue that the only free market should decide design standards, but that argument ignores the citizens' United States constitutional right to the welfare of his county. Now let's look at the proposed residential design standards. These design standards are for new construction of subdivisions only. So nobody's going to have to go out and buy new windows or put water tables on their own homes. One major part of the standard will be requirements to provide more information on the development so that the Department of Planning and Community Development will have a greater understanding of the outcome of the development. Another standard would require longer lasting building materials. Now, who should be opposed to that? Water tables on foundation walls will prevent our new development from looking cheap and ugly and increase the value of Forsyth County. And our new density numbers will exclude unbuildable land such as floodplain and wetlands. These design standards will not be a big headache for the good builders that we already have in the county. The welfare, and that includes the opportunity and the future of our county, needs to be protected. I support the proposed residential design standards because they respect the right of the private property owner to develop within reason and the right of the community to its welfare. And these residential design standards will enhance the value of Forsyth County. Madam Chair, Commissioners.
Thank you, Mr. Winterstein.
Our next speaker is Kenneth Heyman.
My name is Kenneth Heyman. I live at 7555 Breeze Bay. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak to you. I know I have just a few moments, but I would like to enter this into the record, the entire document for your review. And that's about all I had to say. It's about the race card that I was accused of playing here on the floor of this assembly, where one of the commissioners pointed me out specifically and said, "Shame on you for playing the race card." I'd like to address this with this document and have it as part of the record. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sarah, he's entering that into the record. Are there copies for all of the commissioners as well, or are you just entering it directly into the record with one copy?
I brought 5 copies. I'm not sure how to do it. I'm new at this.
Yes, just so proceed. We'll get it figured out, but just so you know, normally you provide a copy for each commissioner and a copy for the record.
I've got
We
5
can handle,
copies.
we can handle the extra copy.
Appreciate that.
Received, thank you.
Thanks.
If anyone else wishes to address the board during this public comment section, please come forward at this time. I'm seeing none, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. At this time, we'll move on with the adoption of our minutes. Do I have a motion to adopt the minutes of the public hearings and executive session of February 7th?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Please vote. That motion passes 5-0. Is there a motion to adopt the minutes of the work session and executive session of February 12th, 2019?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. That also passes 5-0. Do I have a motion to adopt the minutes of the off-site special called meeting of February 15th and 16th?
So moved.
I have a
Second.
motion and a second. Please vote. That also passes 5-0. Is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Please vote. And that motion also passes with a vote of 5-0. Moving into public hearings, this time Russell's going to read an announcement regarding the requirements for all speakers to complete the form prior to speaking, and as well as the time limitations.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. For the public hearings portion of the meeting tonight, each side, those in opposition and those in support, are allotted 10 total minutes to speak. Those who wish to speak must complete a public hearing form, which is again available just outside of this room. Please fill out both sides and submit your form to the clerk when approaching the podium to speak. If there is more than one speaker for each side, the available time will be divided among the speakers. We will provide a reminder when the speaker has 30 seconds remaining.
Thank you. Public hearing number 1, Amy Conrath.
AL 190808, located in Commission District Number 4. This is a request for approval of an alcohol license for Junior Market LLC, doing business as Keithbridge Food Mart. Name licensee is Mohammed Belier Hossan for an application to sell malt beverages and wine by the package at their place of business, located at 3375 Keithbridge Road.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Please vote. That public hearing is now open with a vote of 5-0. If there's anyone here to speak in favor of this application, please come forward at this time. That would be the applicant, the representative, or anyone who is here generally to speak in favor. Mr. Hossain, are you here? Please come on up. Right here. If you could just give us your name and then tell us a little bit about why you're in favor of your application. Pardon me?
MD Belaz Hussain.
Okay, if you want to, and you have somebody with you, are you here also to speak in favor, or are you just here for support?
Yeah, Indian.
Okay. Go ahead and hold tight. I'm going to see if there's anybody else who wants to come down and speak in favor. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak in favor? Anyone who would like to speak in opposition? Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second, please vote. Public hearing is closed with a vote of 5-0. I'm going to hand this over to Commissioner Mills as this is within her district, so she may have some questions for you.
I did call and talk to somebody on the phone. Was it you?
Yes.
Just to make sure, I know your business has been closed for a while,
Yes.
and this is a new application under, is it a different name or the same name?
Different.
A different name. And have you got somebody new to lease the business now?
Yes.
And I asked you about a different subject, about your gambling machines, but I just had your phone number, wanted to call you about that. But you did say you had training?
Yeah.
You provided training,
Yeah.
and you do understand?
Yeah, I get it.
And you said Amy had went over about our new things that were in place, about the paraphernalia and about the selling those bad things, about the synthetic drugs and all that stuff, and you told me you were not doing that.
Yeah. No.
And you know if you do it, you're going to get caught and you're going to get put out,
Yeah.
you'll lose your alcohol license.
Yeah.
Clarified very clearly to
Yeah.
us about the difference between all those.
Because we will catch you if you do it.
We won't catch
We
you.
will.
Those guys in the back.
I mean, they will catch you.
Yeah, exactly.
We really want them to catch you. If you sell the underage, we want you to be caught. Okay. I'm okay.
Would you like to offer a motion?
Unless y'all have got any questions.
I do not.
Anything?
I think you covered it.
Okay.
I might let you cover mine.
All right. I will make a motion to approve the, and Amy's told me all their documentation's in order, to approve the, I'm trying to look for the number, AL1908 at 3375 Keith Bridge Road as presented.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, please vote. And that motion
you.
does pass 5-0. Good luck
Thank you.
and have a profitable and
Thank you.
successful business. We have postponed item number 2 to March 7th, and we have postponed item number 3 to March 21st. So that takes us to public hearing number 4, Amy Conrath.
AL 190809. This is located in Commission District Number 5. This is a request for approval of an alcohol license for Mountain View Gas LLC, doing business as Buford Dam Marathon. Name licensee is Husan Sultan, for an application to sell malt beverages and wine by the package at their place of business located at 1620 Buford Dam Road.
Thank you. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. And this public hearing is now open with a vote of 5-0. Is there anyone who is here to speak in favor of this application? That would include the applicant, their representatives, or just any interested parties. Come
No
on
need to
down.
be scared after Mills, Mr. Commissioner Mills.
I'm going to let Cindy handle all of mine. This is one of mine, actually. Good evening. If you could just state your name for the record, and if you want to make any comments now, you may, and then we'll just have you stick around for some questions.
I'm Hussein Sultan. I'm going to be buying the property at 1620 Buford Dam Road. It's a Marathon gas station with a car wash.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to come down and speak in favor of this application? Is there anybody who'd like to come down and speak in opposition to this application? This is where you look behind you. I'm not seeing any. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Please vote. That public hearing is now closed with a vote of 5-0. Pretty straightforward. So you're a new owner of an existing business.
Yes.
Are you going to be bringing in new employees? Are there existing employees that will be continuing to work with you?
Yes, there's existing employees.
Okay, and was there an established training program regarding alcohol sales prior to your ownership that you're aware of, or do you have one that you're going to be bringing to the business?
So the training that I took, that gentleman has offered for a fee to come out and train each employee, whether they're new or somebody gets removed and we have even more employees come in, we're going to have an annual fee with him so he can train each employee with a certificate.
Okay, so you're going to have him basically on a retainer basis to make sure all of your employees
Exactly.
are up to snuff. Your paperwork appears to be in order. Seems like you're on the right path with respect to proper training of alcohol. As you just heard from Commissioner Mills, there are some new changes to our ordinances now, where if you are selling some of the other vaping products and things like that, the underage sales of that will go against your alcohol license.
I can't sell any of that stuff. I'm sorry.
Awesome. Glad to hear it.
I'm not into that.
Very, very good.
It's a clean gas station.
Do any of my colleagues have any questions, comments? I'd like to go ahead and offer a motion then, please, that we approve alcohol license application 190809 to Hussein Sultan at 1620 Buford Dam Road, doing business as the Buford Dam Marathon.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. And that motion does pass 5-0. Welcome to the community.
Thank you so much.
Good luck. Thanks. All right, we've now come to the second public comment section. At this time, Russell will remind us again of the rules and introduce any public comment speakers.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. We are now at the second public comment portion of tonight's meeting. If anyone wishes to address the board during public comments at all tonight, please come forward at this time. I'm seeing none, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Old business item number 1 has been withdrawn or removed from the agenda, as we already had that on a separate track. 1B has been postponed to March 21st, which is going to take us all the way up to new business. New business number 1 has been postponed to March the 7th, landing us on new business number 2. Heather Ryan.
Yes, and I am going to cover this one for Heather tonight. Tom Brown, the planning director. This is a follow-up to an item we had at a work session where there was a split vote. It's board discussion of a proposed minimum distance requirement between gas stations and residentially zoned property. I do have, if you need to see it, we can display the map that we had at the work session, the revised version of that map.
Can you, did I think part of the hesitancy, at least on part of some of this, at least a portion of this board, was that the motion that was given was to take this to a public hearing, and we felt at that time that we did not really have enough input direction as to where we really wanted to go with that. And so if I'm correct here, this is to resolve the issue of whether or not we're sending this to a work session.
It was a 3-2 vote.
It
and
was.
there was some instruction, but because you don't have a majority, it comes back on to,
Right.
I guess.
So
That's correct.
with that, I mean, I think that obviously the work needs to be done. The heavy lifting on these types of things needs to be done in the context of a work session. I don't think we were quite there yet. So if, you know, the action item that I would be inclined toward at this time would be to go ahead and put this on a future work session so that we have time to all sit and discuss amongst ourselves what those numbers, I don't think we had.
March 26th, can we move it to March
We
26th?
can certainly put that to March.
Or do you want to go one more out past that?
I'm
I'm so
Tom,
sorry, I didn't mean March 26th, I meant
February
February, yeah.
26th. I guess the question to me then goes to Tom, how well you think that we've expressed a desire to bring what we're going to need to work with at the work session. Is the 26th too tight for you? Would you like
Yes,
to move
well-
in second week of March?
The direction we had was to run the distance at 250 feet and to cut both MPDs and PUDs. One of the, I forget, I think it was MPD was originally excluded. We also excluded PUDs as of that last work session. The GIS department.
Which, that's a little tricky given that PUDs is no longer a current category.
But there's
So
some that
you're doing it
exist
in
out
reverse.
there.
on the
There are
map,
some
so
that
we're-
exist out
Yeah,
there,
that's all.
but PUDs are represented by all different types of developments. There are
So do you want to
PUDs
include
that
it
are
or not?
100% residential. So my point is this, I think we probably still need to hash out and have some, in a work session, to have something to actually send to public hearing that
Agree.
represents the, you know.
But would you like to give them some directions they can have more
Well, I'm
ready for
asking
us?
him if the 26th is too close, if he feels like he's
The
got something.
Well, the product is done.
Okay.
GIS has
Let's-
done the heavy lifting for us. They've created the new map. We are ready to talk about it as soon as you want to put it on an agenda.
Let's do that. I'd make a motion that we bring that to the agenda on our February 26th work session.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. That motion does pass 5-0, and we will be seeing this shortly. Number 3, this is Cindy and Sarah.
I could start off with just a generic summary on this
Yeah,
one. This will have
please.
a lot to do with our office. It's a board consideration of a county-initiated riparian buffer variance for the Publix development at Highway 369 and Bannister Road. This was discussed at a work session. The item was approved 4-0 with Commissioner Levent being absent at the work session on February 12, 2019. It was not unanimously approved, so it is showing up here on your agenda.
Thank you for that reminder. Unless the board has any discussion that they want to bring to the table on this, we do have an active vote out there. I don't know if Commissioner Levent wants to take this opportunity. Would it be in order at this point, Sarah, to ask for Commissioner Levent to cast a vote, or would we need to recast a vote, or can we just move forward? Do you need a new motion? What do we need procedurally here? Because I know this did pass 4-0 with Commissioner Levent absent, and it would have normally been on our consent agenda. So it was pulled off in case there was any discussion, but I don't know that anybody has any
So
opposition
the
there.
vote's already been taken, you have to redo your vote again. Everybody, it wasn't a tie, did I break a tie?
Right, right. Well, I'm just,
So you have
that's,
to
I'm trying to
redo
get
the vote.
clarity on whether we need to take another vote here
You gotta take
or
another
not.
vote.
We have the opportunity to have some discussion. If, you know, if Chairman Levent would like to place a vote, we can
I have a couple questions if you don't mind.
Please-
Because
please
I
go
wasn't
ahead.
here and I don't, sure I understand 100%. So this is, Counselor, Mr. Sir, would y'all mind coming up just for Q&A? Is that okay, Madam Chair? And I apologize because I was not here to get all the details. I ran out. I needed to leave earlier than I did, but unfortunately, your item is the one I walked out on.
Okay, no
We're
worries.
almost at the bottom of the agenda that night. This is for the public shopping center you're putting together, correct?
Yes, sir.
Is this for just one of the outlots that gets near, describe what the variance is about?
Variance, so when I actually assembled the 120 acres that made up the residential and the commercial property. As we designed it, we had about 7,000 feet of ditches, streams, and creeks, and 640 of that we've applied for an individual permit, which we've gotten through the Corps of Engineers. We've gotten the state approvals as well, and we're applying for the county buffer variance to impact that 640 feet out of the 7,000 feet.
So you already have approval from the state and the Corps?
Yes, sir.
Excellent, that helps a lot, thank you. I'm fine, so, motion.
All right, Sarah, procedurally, we don't need a new motion on this. We just allow it to continue, or do you want a new motion?
Well, I guess, Commissioners, I just want to confirm the direction. So
You have to.
you can move to amend something previously adopted, but my understanding is that the desire is to move forward. Is that correct?
Correct. Is to move forward with the decision that was already made.
Yeah, the motion maker could just say that they stay with the same motion, move it to public hearing, county initiate, and recall your vote. Because this is not a tie vote where I break a tie.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm comfortable with moving forward.
yeah,
Okay.
just start all over with the motion.
I can,
Go ahead, Cindy. You just want to restate the motion for
I
one last
can,
time?
I mean, I'll make a motion that we move forward with the county-initiated riparian buffer variance for the public's development at Highway 369 and Bannister Road. Is that good enough?
Second. Sorry.
Do I need to state anything more than that? Do I need to state the variance again?
Let's go ahead and state the variance again, yes.
And the developer shall pay all associated fees and place applicable signage to waive the public participation process. Is that everything?
That's fine.
Okay,
Second, okay with all that goodness?
okay.
We have a motion, a second, please vote. And that motion does pass 5-0. Thanks for y'all's patience on that.
I apologize, you had to come back because I had to leave, because that's what
Moving
just
on
happened.
to
Yeah.
item number 3 on new business. Oh, I'm sorry, that was number 3. I'm sorry. Moving on to number 4, which was the addition of the House Bill 302 discussion. Cindy?
We have had many emails going back and forth and discussion on this. This legislation was was brought forward last week from a legislator from Pine Mountain, and it's indirect. It's about us. Make no mistake. I've been told it's being funded by the vinyl industry, by the wood industry, by the Council for Quality Growth, by the Home Builders Association, which the last two we have worked very closely with. We've got emails showing that we've worked very closely with. We've sat down and talked to. They've given great input. We've all went and spoke at their meetings. We've had many meetings. We've been taking a lot of input from them, especially considering we haven't had one public hearing yet. The first one takes place next week. And I think that it's very premature that they've introduced this legislation and that they are coming after us this aggressively. This bill has got great potential to harm us greatly. I mean, greatly. And they entered it into the Agriculture Committee, which is very rural. The people that sit on that committee a lot of them don't even have zoning. They don't even have zoning in their districts, in their counties. It's very hard for them to understand living in a county that has grown as fast as ours. I mean, when people are telling them that they have counties that, and they notice when you read the bill, the first thing it says is that counties are having people to choose their paint color for them. You know, like it's making it sound just horrific, like choosing their paint color.
We don't do that. We've never done paint.
I mean, Alpharetta does, but it's, you know, they have, I mean, there are jurisdictions. Now, GMA is fighting really hard against it because cities that are in urban settings tend to have that, and which I have said to our delegation, you want to have more cities brought forward? This is exactly what happens. When people feel like you're not listening to them, when you don't listen to their needs and you don't hear. And so our staff has done a really good job in helping ACCG. They've contacted me. It's been brought up on our policy council on Monday. Macon Bibb has already brought a resolution against it. I mean, we're obviously, we need to do that as well.
Will you be at the committee?
Well, I think, didn't you hear today that it's come out of committee?
So the update on this is that it has already come through committee. And so it had the appearance that it was being fast-tracked. A further dissection of that, having spoken to some of our representatives down there in the House, it didn't come out squeaky clean. It squeaked out. It was a 6-5 vote. So it does not have as much broad appeal, I think, as we were fearful that it did. I've gotten a further comments from a person that was on that committee that it's not going to see the floor. I don't trust that.
Yep.
It's early in the session right now, and you know this is beyond paint swatches and those types of things. This is an absolute assault on our home rule, on the ability for smaller government that's closer to the people to represent their interests.
I'm going to share this with you because we're not the first place that ever thought we'd like to have a unique character areas. Helen, Georgia, Dahlonega, Georgia, the Avalons, the collections. It just goes on in every community you go throughout the state of Georgia. So it's not about paint colors. It's way, way beyond that. And they are going to be assaulting those smaller communities as well, those ones that have stepped outside the box and created some kind of character that has made them pretty popular.
Well, you know, to me, I think that the way that it was handled by going through Ag Committee looking for a shoulder to cry on to try to create some sort of a division between counties, the haves and the have-nots, and the counties that have been successful with this idea that lowering the bar is going to raise all ships, and it's an absolutely false argument to me. If you lower the bar and the standards, you know, allow us to jump that shark, you know, allow us to make that decision that's just too much, and we will have to correct that for ourselves. But if everybody is brought down to the same low standard, that doesn't raise the interests of people going into areas where they weren't going anyway. That's a competitive advantage that they may have at some place, in some places, that people are able to go there and do things that they aren't hindered from doing in other places. But if you have, you know, if you are blessed with the things that we have, a great school system, good infrastructure, and I know everybody will think that's controversial, but compared to a lot of areas, and the, you know, proximity to the metro area, still having a great quality of life, if you lower that standard of entry to come into this community and build, they're going to still come here. They're not going to go to these other communities. So the idea that this is going to somehow support rural communities is an absolute false argument.
I don't know that that's what they're after, but they are after lobbying on behalf of
us not
telling their people how to build their products.
They're building a groundswell of support through the agricultural communities and the communities that do not have all of the infrastructure and other things that we have, and it's absolutely, I feel, will be a detriment to those communities as well.
Does the resolution itself that we're wanting to vote on to send, does it mention some of these other communities I just mentioned and how they couldn't have been able to be created if this was in play?
Well, I mean, I think Ken can research that. I think what we needed to do tonight was just get the ball rolling,
Give them
give him the
direction.
authority
Do it.
to produce a.
Yeah.
I think there's two things we need to do. We need to give the authority for legal to produce a resolution, and we need to give authority for him to research this bill to see if it's constitutional, because
Fair enough.
ACCG needs that, and we need to be the jurisdiction to
Fair
step
enough.
up to do that.
When you make your motion, when you make your
Can we
motion.
do that in one motion? Since we're giving that legal the authority to do that?
You can do that in one motion, that's fine.
Okay.
Would you mind when you make the motion, asking them to give some examples of full-blown communities like Helen and such, that this would have never allowed to take place, or them to be able to build the character if this was already in place?
I think we can give Ken that direction.
Yeah, okay.
Without that. I'll make a motion that we give legal the authority to put together a resolution as well as do research into the bill to see if it's constitutional, and to bring that back to us as soon as possible, seeing that the bill is being fast-tracked.
Second.
We have a motion, a second, please vote.
Oh, wait.
Oh,
We can,
Okay.
we've already started voting.
Ken said we should do that on a time-sensitive basis. I said as soon as possible,
we're
but I
on a
didn't.
regular meeting, you don't have to.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And that motion does pass 5-0.
Automatically time sensitive.
Thank you. Counselor, I understand there may be a need for an executive session this evening. Is that yes or no?
No, Commissioners.
No,
I just wanted to redo the vote.
I'm sorry.
Yes, Madam Chairman, I do think that we have a executive session item.
Okay.
I think it's a land issue.
Okay.
And no need to.
In that case, is there a motion to recess the regular session and public hearings to enter into executive session for
moved.
discussion of litigation, land acquisition, and/or personnel?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Please vote. And we are recessed at 5:55 PM. Counselor, do you have an idea of whether there'll be any action items after this?
No
Not
action
that you're
item.
aware of? No?
Not that we're aware of.
Okay, so our regular business is concluded, so no need to stick around unless you want to. We'll be back in to close the meeting. Thank you for those of you who are still sticking with us. Is there a motion to adjourn the regular meeting and public hearings?
So moved. Second.
No motion, and second, please vote. We stand adjourned at 6:10.
Brilliant, thank you.
This is TV Forsyth, your county connection.